Welcome to the EarthWorks podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon from many of our turf friends from the past 30 years.
Hello all and welcome to the EarthWorks podcast. This week I'm your host Jack Higgins and I've got the pleasure of sitting down with Matt Jones from the Landings Golf and Athletic Club.
I appreciate you having me on.
Wow, I appreciate you hosting me, man. This is fun. Like, we got to tour around a little bit. You took me out on Palmetto,
and then we ended up on Terrapin Point.
Perfect. So I kind of want to set the scene here, let the listener know where we are, where I call this the low country, right?
Yes.
This is some low country golf right here. So cool. We're on Skidaway Island.
Yes. Yeah. Skidaway Island sits about 15 minutes right outside Savannah.
Okay.
The Landings, you can think of the Landings Golf and Athletic Club. It encompasses almost the entire island, essentially.
Okay.
We have 6 golf courses across the island, 4 clubhouses, very nice fitness facility, amongst the entire property, 13 different restaurants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like 4,000 home sites?
Yeah, roughly, let's call it around 4,000.
Okay. Big facility here, big island. It's an actual island, like you drive over a causeway to get here?
Correct.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you said it's City of Savannah is the municipality.
Yes.
This is the club. If you live here, you're a member of the club. Does it work that way?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No. So you do have to live here to be a member.
Okay.
But you don't have to be a member
if you live
here.
Wow, cool.
We do have a handful of non-property owner memberships, and there's only a few available at this time. So, okay. But yes, you have to own property.
Right. Right. For the most part. And so you mentioned that in COVID, in this, like, you gained a whole lot of members.
Yes. No, around 2020, starting with 2020, with the whole real estate market and everything, we gained close to 800 new members.
Yeah. Well, it's a stunning place to be. Like, it's a beautiful island. We were commenting, it's very much like a nature preserve out here. You have all the live oaks with the Spanish moss and lots of, on the island, lots of like ponds and drainage. Like, can you talk a little bit about the nature that you have out here? Wildlife?
Oh, yes. No, we'll start off. Every golf course is Audubon certified.
Oh, wow. All right.
So the nature is a huge part of this island, but with, of course, like you said, the live oaks, again, it definitely gives that low country feel with the wildlife.
Right.
I mean, say the Spanish moss is notorious for the low country.
Yeah. It's a really cool setting. Yeah. It's beautiful. How about animals? Do you have deer on the island, or?
Yes, lots and lots of deer.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of deer.
What else do you see?
Of course, you've got your alligators.
Oh yeah.
There's numerous species of birds.
Okay. Yeah, migratory sort of stuff and
correct. Migratory. There's bald eagles.
Oh, excellent.
So there's different osprey, different hawks. I mean, you can kind of go down the list.
Now, how long have you been here?
May will be 13 years.
13 years here. Wow. And you're a young guy, so you got here when you were really young.
Yes, yeah. So I'm currently 35.
Yeah.
35, like I told you earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm 45.
Well, yeah, dude, you also said you're graduating with your MBA this spring.
Yes, yeah. No, graduate. Yeah.
You've been busy.
Yeah, I've been a little busy. But yeah, finished up my MBA in May. Yeah, I've been here 13 years. I came here straight out of Auburn.
Okay. Yeah, 22 years old, you came here.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. And you also mentioned you've been on every golf course on property.
Yeah. So I started off as a second assistant on our Marshwood Magnolia course.
Okay.
Was that for about 6 months. Moved into a lead assistant role over at that 36-hole facility.
Right.
Was in that role for about 3 years-ish. Was promoted to the superintendent at Deer Creek. Stayed at Deer Creek for about 5 years as superintendent, and then this year will be 4 years here on Palmetto and Terrebonne as a senior golf course superintendent. And then I did a couple of short stints on Oak Ridge.
Okay. So yeah, you've really been everywhere. Yeah. Now, talk about the team here. The team at the Landings Club in terms of superintendents. Like, how many of you are there?
So we'll start off. We have our director of agronomy, Tyson Heltzel.
Okay.
He oversees the entire agronomy staff, all 6 golf courses.
Awesome.
Okay. And then you can kind of break up the 6 golf courses into 4 phases.
Yes.
We have 2 36-hole facilities. Our Marshwood Mag.
Okay.
And then here, Palmetto and Terrebonne.
Okay.
And then we have 2 18-hole, Oak Ridge and Deer Creek.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way of organizing it in my head.
And you can break that down into each shop has a superintendent.
Got it.
Think of it that way.
Got it. So, and how many shops you said? 4. Yeah, okay. Each shop's got a superintendent. And the Corn Ferry comes here twice a year, right?
Well, we have the tournament in the spring, which is the Club Car Championship.
Club Car Championship every spring.
Every spring. It's usually late March to early April.
And what course does that get hosted on?
It gets hosted on Deer Creek.
Deer Creek with its own superintendent. Who's the super there?
That's Bentley Morse.
Bentley. Okay. Yes, I've met him. Cool. Yeah. So that's every April. And then sometimes a fall tournament. Is that how it works?
So we have hosted the Corn Fair or the Q School finals.
Okay.
We've done that a couple of years. We hosted that on March with Magnolia a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And then we host different stages, whether we've hosted second stage, we've hosted third stage, we've kind of gone through it.
Sure. Now we're sitting here in the end of February. This is kind of the things start to amp up around here golf wise. I mean, you've got quite a golf culture here, but we of course have got the tour that comes through, it's starting to kind of heat up right now. They come through in March, April, both the Corn Ferry and the PGA. Right locally, right? The PGA's at Harbortown the week after the week after Augusta. Yeah. So there's a lot of golf culture here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you mentioned also all of these golf courses do what, like 30,000 rounds a year?
Yeah. They average about 30,000 rounds a year.
Mm-hmm. And golf has been so golf's a major part of things. You when you moved over here, I think you really got into the construction side of things. I certainly want to get to talk about that. But also I want to touch back to, you said Auburn. You're from Alabama, right?
I am. I grew up in Sylacauga, Alabama, about an hour south of Birmingham.
Very familiar town to all the greenkeepers out there.
Yep.
It's where Harold's is from? No.
Harold's has
a facility
there.
Okay.
And then also, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with Farmlands.
Farmlands, of course.
Right. So I grew up working on farms and I grew up playing golf. And when I turned 15, I actually started working at Farmlands.
Okay.
So I started working on Farmlands really just for the free golf.
Wow, awesome. Were you greenkeeping?
No, I was working on the farm. That surrounded Farmlands.
Okay. What did you do for them?
I mean, whether it be we would take people hunting and fishing. Maintain, they had at that point in time probably about 300-400 head of cattle.
Oh wow.
They also had a fairly decent sized nursery. So it was a lot of the property upkeep of the farm and the cattle. And
nursery was like ornamental plants. And was that all was it a lot for the golf course, or were you wholesaling, or?
Most of it was for the golf course.
Yeah, that's a cool way of doing it.
And it's owned by the Purcell family, which call it Polyon.
That's right. That's the link.
That's the link. So,
okay.
And at that point in time, I thought I was going to go into PGM, the professional golf management.
Because you love golf.
I love golf. I thought I was going to play golf every day.
Yes.
Thankfully, David Purcell I had a conversation with him because I grew up with a lot of his kids.
Okay.
And He pretty much told me that PGM Burgup's not quite what you think it is. You're going to be doing a lot more folding shirts.
There's a lot of sweater folding involved.
And he gave me a little hint. He kind of directed me on this side. So
yeah, it requires a lot of patience. It's not just golf. No. And the superintendents, it's not like you don't have opportunities to golf. I mean, if you want to golf,
correct,
we can golf on this side. Correct. It's fun.
And like I said, I grew up working on farms. I grew up working outside.
Sure.
And I grew up playing golf. So.
And you also did you go out on like the shoots and stuff, like you said, the hunting club and everything? Oh yeah.
Well, and back then that was before Orvis and the shooting club. We just took people hunting and fishing on the farm.
That's fun, man. You had a really interesting background coming into this.
Yeah. No, it was fun. It was a great place to be 16, 17 years old.
I bet. And you were friends with all of the Purcell family.
Sounds like. I grew up. I was friends. I had two sons that were a couple years younger than I was. I played golf, played tennis with them, and then they had a daughter that was my age. And
I've never been there, but it sounds like an awesome place.
It is, and it's changed so much over the years.
Okay.
But
in terms of what?
It's more resort.
Got it.
Yeah.
It was really kind of down on the farm when you were younger, huh?
It was the farm, and then there was the golf course.
Yeah.
And they had the lodge where people could stay at that point in time.
Sure. What companies were really working the farmlands a lot? Was it
at the very beginning? It was Toro.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say BASF.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. I think that was the last major partner that right. was going in there was BASF. Do they still do that in our side?
I don't believe so much in that.
Okay.
Again, I know a lot has changed. I know it's still a great place, and I've heard a lot.
And big in the just golf resort, like just for regular golfers, not necessarily greenkeeper sides like us.
Yeah. But I've heard. Again, it's been a couple of years. It's been several years since I've been down there.
Yeah, you've been here for so long, 13 years. Jeez. Well, that's really interesting. It's a really unique way into this business. So cool. Let's talk about some more of your experience here. I think we talked a lot about the setting. And that very much natural, that kind of presents some limitations here too. I know you've got, let's talk about irrigation water. Let's talk about kind of pocketed, really humid areas. You have a lot of low-lying marshy sort of areas as well. So first, the water. How's your water quality?
It's a bit all over the place. It's not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
We do use reclaimed water.
Okay, so drainage off of all properties, I imagine?
Right. And they get to our spray fields, which is over near the Deer Creek.
Okay.
The water coming out of those spray fields can vary depending on which spray field.
Okay.
So there's some of our courses may be a little bit higher in sodium.
Mm-hmm.
Some may be a little bit higher in bicarbonates.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're like Oak Ridge, which is actually pretty precipitating.
Oh, okay. Like just a lot of talc and everything. Like you see the calcium in it.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, that's a lot of bicarbonate too. So pretty bad.
So it's been all over the place. And if you're Deer Creek, you can pull from either the south field or the north field.
Uh-huh.
So you can either pull from the field that has higher in sodium, or you can pull from the field that's higher in bicarbonate.
Or you can mix them together and yeah. Yikes. Well, that's got to pose its kind of challenges. What do you see in the turf, and how long does it take to see kind of the ill effects, running through a season? When do you start to notice the water having limiting effects on growth?
I mean, definitely you start getting into the summertime and you're going on a 2-3 week drought.
Mm-hmm.
And
you get that pukey look or what?
Yes. Now, I will say, being here for almost 13 years and seeing how the story of what we've had to do to combat this, and as we've learned over the time with the issues.
What were some of the steps taken, and what's been successful?
We've implemented a very aggressive cultural program during the summer.
Okay.
Where, for example, when I first started here, aerification was 2-3 days max to get punch holes, get in, get cleaned up, get back open.
Really thinking probably about just pulling out biomass.
Correct.
And diluting with sand.
Correct.
So probably a big hole, 5/8.
5/8.
Yeah.
Get done.
And get out. And that was mid-July-ish.
And then, again, you're spacing it out. So your first course probably goes down in late May, and it's next one.
You just work it through.
Correct. Thankfully, with a lot of education with our membership and a lot of support, those aerifications are now extended 3 weeks.
Okay.
With that, again, go back to the reinvestment into our golf courses. It's, we're double aerifying. We're dry jacking every year. We're got on a drill and fill.
Different depths.
Different depths, changing it, just trying to change up that profile.
Tap into the internal drainage so that you can move, when you do build up contaminants, correct, you can flush them, move correct them. And turn over that thatch, remove thatch and turn it over, humify, so that you can buffer all that sodium and bicarbonate coming in. And interesting, you mentioned the precipitate, like not everyone has problems. You can have bicarbonate problems that have ill effects on the turf well before you're seeing actual like precipitate, but you see it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And it's, again, that was the start of it. And we started that, we'd probably say 2018, 2019. Before that, we were looking, besides our Deer Creek, we were looking at some old golf courses. Right. I mean, we were looking at terrapin substructure. I mean, that's 40 plus years old.
Wow. Oh yeah, you mentioned doing drainage work. You have there's galvanized drain pipe out there.
Yeah, and that's how the community was set up, where there's storm drainage running through it from the community up underneath the golf course. I mean, and that project's coming up in 27, 28.
That's for Terrapin Point.
That's for Terrapin Point. And so that'll be an extensive project.
Well, also you mentioned Terrapin Point, because just tie it back to that Audubon. You said that they do a lot of Audubon work at that golf course, particularly with the turtles, with terrapins.
Yes, yeah. So Terrapin Point, we have a group of members that are usually starting about May.
Right.
And they do shift work where they are running around. There's 3 holes in particular where they scout for terrapins coming in from the marsh. Awesome. The diamondback terrapins.
How big are they?
They're not that big. I'd say a foot.
Yeah, like a dinner plate size.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're looking for those turtles coming in, the mamas, to lay the eggs. They'll collect the eggs, bring them over to the hatch boxes, let the eggs hatch, and then they'll re-release.
Awesome.
And it's really cool to see. And they had a record-breaking year last year with, wish I could remember, and don't quote me, then they'll.
It's all good.
But they're close to 1,000.
Yeah.
Little hatchlings they released last year.
Awesome. Yeah, I love this. I love these different kind of crossovers of cultures that you get on the golf course. You have either a golf course, you have some diehard golfers, but you also get like people that are looking to save the terrapins. So, and you get that crossover. It's kind of a cool thing. That's what I love about golf. Okay, so we wanted to get in this conversation. We wanted to talk about the water and the different strategies you've used. Also, with all that dry eject and aerification, drill and fill, you also implement some good soil sprays too. I know that. You were one of the first guys to be using KVantage to this effect. And I reference what you've seen a lot because like, yeah, you said like for the sodium side of things, major differences.
Oh, definitely. It was, I remember telling you it was night and day within a week. I was like, wow.
How do you use that product?
So we use it with a wetting agent.
Okay.
During our growing season, it's with every wetting agent spray.
Probably a 2 week, 3 weeks, something like that.
Every 2 weeks.
Excellent.
And I say it's every 2 weeks going fall through spring. And then when we get into growing season, we'll actually bump back that wetting agent to weekly. But we're bumping back the rates.
Perfect. And you keep the KVantage with their bump the rates back in half and okay, very good. And those rates are probably, so when you're spraying weekly, you're probably more like 1.5 ounces of that product or okay. And you see good response. In terms of the turf, like you see turf response, turgor pressure, what is it?
Yes. Turgor pressure, the wilt point was considerably, it was drastic. Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying like when you would put the TDR in the ground, that sort of wilt point, like yes. You could bring the number down to what?
Right. Let's just say the wilt point that we were seeing prior was probably closer to on our TDR 18, 19.
Okay. And this turf type, this is what?
TifEagle greens.
TifEagle greens.
And then now we're looking at that low point being 13, 14.
Wow. Yeah, significant. So, 5%. Yeah, well, and like, or rather, 5 points.
Yeah. So
big chunk.
Yeah, and again, it's incorporating that into the program.
It's everything. Yeah, no doubt. You're moving more air.
Correct.
You're allowing like that water to get out. That's some good stuff. So okay, so. That's some of the strategies for the water. Now let's talk construction. You've done so much in the last couple years. Your full experience with construction here, were you doing some stuff early on as well?
So in 2016, my first year at Deer Creek, you can call it a small project. Actually, even before then, when I first started here, we redid fairways on Magnolia in 2012. 2013, we did fairways on Marshwood.
What did you do?
We converted them to Celebration Bermuda.
Okay. Sprigged them.
Yep, re-sprigged. They were 419 prior.
You sprayed them out? You sprayed out the 419, till it up?
Yep.
And then re-sprigged. Did you any reshaping or?
No, it was just a grassing. Just a grassing. When I moved over to Deer Creek, in 2016, there was a handful of fairways that we re-sprigged. They were full of contaminants. So we
POA. I'm sure you battle POA.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. You'll hear this term, especially in the Southeast, yellow dog.
Yellow dog, okay.
Yeah. So there was a lot of off types, a lot of contaminants in the fairways.
Got it. So contaminants can also mean off types as these things kind of mutate and evolve as these turf types. Yeah, and here they call it yellow dog.
Yeah, right. And that's a term I've always heard. Yellow dog. I'll try to refer to it as off types.
Sure.
Just to cover my bases. But. So we had that, and then we put in some Better Billy over on Deer Creek in 2016. Built some forward tees. That was kind of a small project.
Had you already had the Corn Ferry there?
No.
Okay, so this was kind of
that was in the early stage. The Corn Ferry came in 2018.
All right, so this was probably work that helped improve that course for the tournament. Excellent. Better Billy, so stuff like that.
And then when I moved over here, we had already had plans on redoing the Palmetto Golf Course.
Okay.
And that project was a complete greens redo, redesign around green surrounds, some fairway bunkering, some new tees, forward tees, and that was the original plan. So evolved into restringing fairways, resurface of T-tops, the new greens, redesign the greens, again, with 4Ts and some fairway buffering.
And the new greens now, new mix, new internal drainage, new everything.
New everything.
And the grasses that you've gone with at Palmetto, what are they?
So we stuck with TifEagle on the greens.
Mm-hmm.
It's tried and true.
Yep, it works.
We kept with the celebration in the fairways.
Mm-hmm.
The T-tops, we went with Zorja.
Yes.
With bunker faces, changed it up and went with Empire on the bunker faces.
Cool. What do you see difference between Zorro and Empire? I guess it's the texture. Yeah.
The Empire has a little bit thicker leaf blade. I like seeing the texture. The faces can be a little steeper. It's flat bottoms with a steeper face.
Okay.
And I kind of like seeing a little bit of texture.
Sure.
Bunkers.
And you get such a dense turf stand as well. Like that's going to help with maintenance on bunker faces that could get weedy and stuff. You probably don't get much weeds in the Empire.
Correct. And what I've found over the years is that Empire, it eats up sand, that sand splash.
Wonderful.
So from an aesthetic standpoint, you're not staring at that sand splash.
Wonderful. It's a good choice.
Right.
That's a good note for the listener, Okay, so, and then, but the Zorro is more just like kind of a finer leaf blade.
Finer, it's tight. It is slow growing. So during this time of the year, there's not really any divot repair, right? Mm-hmm. So, but from a teeing surface, it's actually held up really well.
Okay, so was this the golf course that you mentioned to me about the approaches, about changing the turf type on the approaches, or?
So that was Deer Creek.
Oh yeah,
that was Deer Creek. Deer Creek was redone in 2009, 2010.
Right.
It's Fazio Golf Course. It was designed to be our tournament golf course.
Sure,
right?
That's where you have the Corn Ferry.
It's wide open, but the approaches and the runoffs of the greens are these big rolling hills.
Enormous, you said. Right. Like 9 acres worth of approaches
Correct.
And greens.
Correct. And it was designed, the original design was it to be essentially greens grade around that TifEagle. Mm-hmm. So they installed TifDwarf back in 2010. Mm-hmm. That TifDwarf had some age and there were some issues with it, just from the sheer maintenance and it. So luckily, right before I moved over here, we were able to get approved to put in TIF Grand on those approaches.
Yes.
So
yeah.
From a maintenance, it's made it a lot easier.
Yeah, less finicky, just a resilient grass. Yeah. And newer. I mean,
it's newer, and the playability you still get the playability of which the design was meant to be, because it can be mown really tight. Mm-hmm. And again, I feel like a lot of our membership appreciates it a little bit better than the TifDwarf.
Excellent.
So, well, not to say that we don't. Some of our higher handicaps would struggle.
It's slick,
yeah.
But it's your tournament golf course.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so back over here to Palmetto now. So this is where you really got to experiment quite a bit with some EarthWorks growing. Yes. I'd say, yeah. like were you were able to kind of do some stuff that you wanted to try.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that and what you saw and how you used it.
Yeah. So I'd used EarthWorks products for several years prior to coming over here, and then we really started off with the 545, which transitioned then to the Renovate.
Right.
Which transitioned into 1025.
Okay.
for different things, right?
Sure.
And when I moved over here, knowing that Palmetto was coming up, just like anybody in this business, you always try to talk to somebody that's smarter than you, right?
Well, Paul introduced me to you, Paul at Vereen's, and this has been like a really fun relationship because you're doing all this work. We get to talk and chat it up.
So it was kind of going around and see what people had used for grow-ins in the past. And we'd started talking about EarthWorks growing program. And I had so much prior success with 545 and Renovate
And you were using those mainly on like aerifications and stuff?
Aerifications, you can call it maintenance.
Sure.
I mean, the Renovate is a staple when it comes to sod work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If Renovate doesn't go down prior to sod work, we got issues. Right?
It's like putting a warranty program down and also just cutting the labor down. You don't have to chase that sod.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a given. Right?
Yeah, got it.
But so I started looking into the EarthWorks growing program.
Mm-hmm.
And then essentially with the Renovate, the 545, the Ecolite, and then that was about the time I'd gotten introduced to the Myco.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And I was like, okay, I know I want to take a balanced approach to this grow in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from a pre-plant standpoint, I want to throw a slug at it up front.
Right. Trying to get ahead of it. Like you want this to go as smooth as possible. I've got this open cavity. We're doing a new mix. Yeah. What can I do right at the pre-plant?
Yeah. I like to think of it as grass goes through the same life stages as we do.
Mm-hmm.
As infants, we have to take care of it. We have to constantly baby it.
Yeah.
Nurture it.
Feed it. Yeah.
Give it the right nutrients.
That's right.
Same thing with grass when it's old.
Sure. You
have to take care of it a different way.
Yeah, that's right.
So I knew I was like, I need to throw a slug. I want to throw a slug, but I want to have a balanced approach to it, even through the whole process.
Got it. And by balanced, I think you probably mean you don't want to be all fast, quick, like hot fertilizer.
Correct.
You want to kind of have that nice C to N ratio, throw a bunch of other like slow minerals, sort of mineralize that root zone. So you used Renovate and Myco in the top, 2-3 inches? How did you go about doing it?
So once the greens were getting ready for spring,
mm-hmm.
right? We put down our pre-plant, everything was floated.
Mm-hmm.
And then had that drug in to about, let's call it 2-3 inches.
Sure.
Right. Worked in really well.
Perfect.
And then floated again and then sprig.
And then sprigs down and cut the water on and let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there you would use like 545 or 1025 in conjunction with some faster release stuff as well, probably.
Right. Yeah, and it was alternated.
Yeah, I like that approach, man.
And then my thought was, and from previous experience with the 545, is I always felt the 545 helped, you can call it synthetic fertilizers on the next go round.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? It does, yeah. Yeah, because you balance that C to N ratio. You got some carbon backing behind it. So how did you do, what did you see out of the growing? How did you do speed wise? How did you do like fill in wise, everything?
I would have felt comfortable opening those putting greens for play around week 6.
Wow.
Now, would they have been to the standard and quality that we would have wanted? Not necessarily, but I would have felt okay putting a cup in the ground and a flag and play to be on.
Yeah, that's great. So that was probably mid-August at that point?
Yeah, and we did everything in phases where we did 6 greens at a time.
Okay.
Right.
For 2 or 3 seasons in a row, or?
No, so we started early June.
Right.
And 6 holes of sprigs would go down. 2 weeks later, another 6.
Okay, got it.
And then 2 weeks later.
All in the same season.
But they were kind of staggered out that way.
Mm-hmm. How about now liquids? When would you get on with your tank? Like how many weeks later?
Week 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right around the time there where you're saying like I would have been very comfortable to open them for play, you weren't putting the big 300 gallons on them before that.
No.
Smart. All right, interesting. I didn't know if that started, how quickly that started.
No, so week 7 would have been the first foliar application,
mm-hmm.
and then week 8 would have been it was the first wetting agent.
Mm-hmm. And all the earthworks you put in with the earthworks you use earthworks on the foliar side as well.
We use them on the foliar side.
Protein Plus and
Protein Plus, Trilogy. With the 2 golf courses, we have a little bit of a different foliar program for each one. Our Palmetto course, the newer one, we use Trilogy, KVantage, MagVantage, Protein Plus, and then KVantage.
KVantage on the soil side.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
And we'll split it up. We have what we call a full foliar, and we have a half foliar.
Smart.
So during the growing season, we can split up our primo. On a timing. It's usually a 4 to 5 day interval.
Wow.
And we'll use that Protein Plus to supplement our nitrogen on our half foliar. The older golf course, we stick with the MagVantage. We use the C3.
Oh, yeah.
The KVantage on our wetting agent soil sprays.
Sure.
The MagVantage, KVantage, C3.
How does the celebration do through the season? Like you overseed. So
we overseed half our golf courses on the short grass. Celebration is a hardy grass.
It can take it.
It can take it. And we put through a lot of rounds.
Oh, yeah.
So it sees a lot of car traffic.
It can handle the overseed. It bounces out of it. All good. The color out here, and because your color on your TifEagle looks like, is the same color as ryegrass. Like it looks really great out there, and it's the winter.
It's this past weekend was kind of chilly, but
wow, it's very cool, man. So moving forward, you're looking at this season, no real construction.
So our Oak Ridge course. Shut down end of last year.
Right.
And it's going through the similar scope of what Palmetto went through.
Okay.
In 23. It'll be complete greens redo, redesign on green surround.
Yes.
Some fairway bunkering. There'll be some dirt moving on some fairways. And some tees. It's stuff. It's same scope. Essentially.
That's generally member play, Oak Ridge? Yeah.
They're all member play.
Right. But no, they don't host. They're not getting ready for a tournament or something there necessarily.
No.
Yeah. So and then Terrapin in the future.
Terrapin 27-28. Terrapin will be a fun project. It's complete tee to green, complete redo.
Reshape
new golf course.
Yeah. So you're working with an architect or have you zeroed in on a architect yet? Or are you still interviewing?
We're still interviewing. We're still having discussions. We have an idea of the design or an idea, a direction we would like to go to.
Sure.
With the grand thought of all 6 is to each course have its own character.
Okay, that's cool. That's what you want,
right?
I mean, Deer Creek has its very much tournament play. You mentioned the big green complexes. Palmetto, you would say, I heard you say very much like a coastal country club sort of thing.
I call it a coastal country club.
Right. But Terrapin, you're looking at having more of a wide open, or what would you say?
So Terrapin is lined with these big, beautiful live oaks.
Okay.
Right. And so much of its backdrop in the scenery are these live oaks, and it's got several holes that sit out on the marsh. It's gorgeous marsh.
So there's some aspects that feel open out there, but then you also have these giant live oaks as well.
So with that being said, we want to, with this mindset of why are we trying to grow turf under these big majestic live oaks? So we would like to hopefully take it to 2 heights a cut.
Wow.
Right. Again, and then naturalize some of the edges. Again, let the architect do his thing.
But 2 heights a cut would be so cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that'd be different than any of our other golf courses.
Yes, because you have 419 rough on a lot of areas, So that would have a whole different look.
Right.
That's great.
And again, the biggest, we want to give our members variety. So
it's a great place to be, man. The landings is a lot of fun. Like it's really interesting, really cool. I think if you're a golfer, this is like golf heaven here.
Yeah, it is, and we like to joke around and say anything you want to get to is just a golf cart ride away.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I mean, whether it be any of the golf,
right,
any of our restaurants, anything like that.
Yeah, your clubhouses. Is there any like shopping on the island? You have a gas station here?
Yeah, there's a gas station. There's Publix.
Okay, there's a Publix.
About 5-6 banks. And
okay, probably some pharmacies.
Yeah, there's pharmacy. Yeah.
You got everything you need.
Yeah, we've got everything you need. Really nice fitness facility to help extend that life.
Oh yeah, that's it. Well, is that the athletic club side of things? Is the fitness facility?
Yeah, really nice fitness facility.
Nice.
Really nice pool set up.
Oh, indoor and outdoor, or?
Yes, yeah. There's a really nice big pool facility at Franklin Creek, which is over near a tennis facility.
Okay.
30-something tennis courts. I mean, and then hopefully breaking ground on new pickleball facility coming up. So
yes, that's a great. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this is a great place. This was a lot of fun. Well, dude, I think that you really broke down a lot of interesting aspects of what it's like to take care of the golf courses here and all the cool work that you've been doing, and also I liked you talking about your unique background getting into this, coming right out of the Sylacauga. Very cool, man. Well, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, I appreciate you being on. Thanks, pal.
Thank you.